Choosing peace. Chapter 4. Recognizing what drains you. Building your personal energy map. You cannot protect what you have not yet named. The first step to guarding your peace is knowing exactly what threatens it. I used to be a planner. Not casually. Deeply. The kind of person who needed to know where, when, who, and how before they could fully exhale. Planning was how I felt safe. It was how I felt in control of a world that often felt anything but. And then I noticed something uncomfortable. The planning itself was draining me. The mental energy spent arranging details, following up, coordinating around other people, anticipating what might go wrong. It was exhausting before the actual event even arrived. And when people showed up late, canceled last minute, or simply treated my carefully arranged time as though it were optional, something in me would tighten with a frustration I could not always explain. These days I live differently. No plans. And if I feel like it's last minute, I will go. If I do not, I will not. That shift alone gave me back more mental space than I realized I had been surrendering. That is what this chapter is about. Finding the things that quietly take from you so you can decide, deliberately, how much access to give them. Why most people cannot name their drains. Here is something worth understanding before we build your energy map. Most people who are chronically depleted cannot tell you exactly why. They know they are tired. They know something feels heavy. But when you ask them to pinpoint it, they struggle. Everything just feels like too much. That is because energy drains are often slow and invisible. They do not announce themselves. They accumulate quietly over days and weeks until the weight becomes undeniable, but the source feels unclear. Naming your drains changes that. When you can see exactly what is taking from you, you stop feeling vaguely overwhelmed and start feeling specifically informed. And specific information gives you power that vague exhaustion never can. You cannot protect what you have not yet named. The 3 categories of drain. Energy drains tend to fall into 3 areas. Most people have a mix of all 3, which is completely normal. Understanding which category a drain lives in helps you know how to handle it. Category 1. People and their energy. These are the drains that come from other people. The ones who consume your time without considering yours. The ones who bring their chaos into your calm. The ones who complain constantly, compete quietly, or pull you into dynamics that leave you feeling worse than before you connected. A particularly common one is people who have no concept of other people's time. They cancel last minute. They show up late without apology. They assume your schedule will bend around theirs because their needs feel urgent to them and yours do not register. If you are someone who plans, values reliability, and shows up when you say you will, these people are not just inconvenient. They are genuinely draining. Category 2. Work and environment. These are the drains that come from the spaces you occupy and the roles you fill. A job that takes more than it gives. A home environment that never quite lets you decompress. Noise, clutter, constant demands, and the feeling that even your personal space belongs to your obligations more than it belongs to you. Many people do not realize how much their physical environment affects their inner state until they change it. The moment they create even one corner of their world that belongs purely to their peace, everything shifts. Category 3. Your own thoughts and habits. These are often the quietest drains and the ones people are most reluctant to look at. The habit of overplanning until the anticipation of an event is more stressful than the event itself. The tendency to replay conversations. The inner voice that tells you rest is not earned. The need to have everything arranged before you can feel okay. These patterns are not character flaws. They are responses that made sense at some point in your life. But when they cost you more than they give you, they become drains just like any other. Building your personal energy drain map. Now it is your turn. What follows is a simple framework for mapping your own drains. You do not need to fix anything yet. You just need to see it clearly. Go through each category and name what comes up honestly. You might surprise yourself with what has been quietly taking from you. People drains to consider. The time disrespecters. People who treat your schedule as flexible because theirs is not. The constant complainers. People who process their life by unloading it onto you repeatedly. The energy takers. People who leave you feeling emptier after every interaction. The guilt senders. People whose unhappiness quietly becomes your responsibility. The unpredictables. People whose moods or decisions you are always bracing for. Work and environment drains to consider. The work that follows you home. Tasks, emails, and mental load that never fully clock out. The environment with no peace corner. Spaces that belong to obligation rather than restoration. The role that costs more than it gives. Responsibilities that consume without replenishing. The noise that never stops. Constant input that leaves no room for quiet. Thought and habit drains to consider. Overplanning. Spending more energy arranging a thing than the thing is worth. Anticipatory stress. Worrying about something before it has even happened. Replaying interactions. Running conversations on a loop long after they ended. Earned rest thinking. Believing you have to deserve a break before you can take one. Other people's emotions as your problem. Taking responsibility for feelings that are not yours to carry. What to do with what you find. Once you have named your drains, resist the urge to immediately try to solve all of them. That impulse is understandable, but it creates its own kind of pressure. Instead, do 3 things. First, simply acknowledge each drain without judgment. You are not bad for having been affected by these things. You are human. Naming them is already an act of self-awareness that most people never reach. Second, notice which drains appear in more than one category. The things that drain you on multiple levels deserve the most attention first. A person who disrespects your time and triggers your overplanning and lives in your emotional space is a 3-category drain. That matters. Third, pick one drain from your list that you have some control over. Just one. Not the hardest one. An approachable one. We will talk in later chapters about how to start gently reducing its access to your energy. You do not have to clear the whole map today. You just have to start seeing it. The planner who learned to let go. I want to return to the planning thing for a moment because it is worth sitting with. For a long time, I thought my need to plan was just who I was. A personality trait. Something fixed. And in some ways the organizational instinct is genuinely part of me, and it has real value. But the anxiety that came with planning, the stress that built until every detail was confirmed, the irritation when people did not honor the structure I had carefully created, that was not a personality trait. That was a drain wearing the disguise of a strength. Learning to say no plans and if I feel like it I will, and if I do not I will not, was one of the most freeing decisions I made. Not because planning is wrong, but because my peace is worth more than any plan. Protecting your peace sometimes means releasing the very things you thought were protecting you. Your energy map is yours alone. No 2 people have the same drains. What matters is not what is on the list, but that you are finally willing to look at it honestly. That willingness is the beginning of everything.